Hattori Hanzo is a full-fledged feudal Japanese legend, renowned for his outstanding skills as a samurai, as well as a ninja. He is held in high esteem as a superb strategist, a master of the ninja arts, and a loyal servant of the shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu. During a crucial moment in Japanese history, he served as a guardian and strategist, leaving hundreds of Iga shinobi on missions that reinforced the Tokugawa's power. This allegiance and his extraordinary spear-wielding and espionage skills made Hanzo an icon, epitomizing the samurai ideal, combining martial skill, shrewdness, and commitment. Located in a mountainous and isolated region of Japan, Iga Prefecture was the heart of shinobi arts and ninja training. With its thick forests and hilly topography, Iga offered the perfect setting for training and perfecting espionage, guerrilla warfare, and infiltration techniques that were the hallmarks of ninjutsu. This area was something of a stronghold for families and clans dedicated to the stealth arts, where the skills and secrets of the shinobi trade were passed down from generation to generation in a tight ring of masters and apprentices. Unlike other regions under the rule of feudal lords, Iga was governed by a local clan structure that kept its relative autonomy. This freedom allowed Iga's shinobi community to develop their skills without external interference, protecting their techniques and philosophy from the political influences of the time. Hattori Hanzo was born in this region, and his childhood was shaped by strictness and discipline, essential elements in the training of a future warrior and master the ninja arts. Born into a noble bloodline that merged the samurai traditions with the stealth skills of the ninja, Hanzo was raised in an atmosphere of intense and vigilant training. Right from the start, his father, Hattori Yasunaga, made every attempt to prepare his son to face the challenges of a feudal world marred by constant conflict and fragile alliances. At 8 years old, Hanzo was acquainted with martial arts and guerrilla tactics. His training not only included swords and spears, but also espionage, infiltration, and sabotage techniques, all of which were part of the ninjutsu he learned in the mountains of Iga. Deftly moving into the shadows, he learned to silently climb mountains and castles, cross rivers without a trace, and use the surroundings to his benefit, blending in with nature to such an extent that he became virtually invisible. Supervised by ninja masters and experienced warriors, Hanzo delved into the deeper aspects of ninjutsu, the art that brought together combat, disguise, infiltration, and strategies that made use of the surrounding nature. The training was unrelenting. Hanzo spent entire days climbing rocks and exploring caves, perfecting his skills of moving silently and invisibly, merging with the shadows. He learned to use every aspect of the environment to his benefit, from the roar of the wind to the play of light and shadow. He trained every night to walk through forests and villages undetected, developing perfect control over every movement, until he could move through a room filled with people without anyone noticing him. When it came to combat, Hanzo was given intense training in several weapons, from the spear to the sword and the kunai. He was taught how to use hidden weapons, accurately throw projectiles, and employ hand-to-hand combat techniques that focused on speed and deadliness. Yet the greater challenge was to develop his mind, since ninjutsu required much more than physical strength. It demanded a fine-tuned mind, able to anticipate his opponent's movements and make instant decisions in extremely dangerous situations. Hanzo was taught to remain calm when faced with death, developing a steely mindset that made him feared even by the most experienced warriors. Besides combat, Hanzo's training involved mastering disguise and camouflage techniques. He learned to impersonate an ordinary villager, a traveling monk, even a merchant, adjusting his stance, voice tone, and even his accent according to the role he was playing. Hanzo mastered the art of Henzojutsu, the transformation technique, allowing him to change into multiple identities according to the needs of his missions. He also learned in Iga how to use herbs and poisons, as well as survival tactics that let him survive for days in hostile territories without the need for external supplies. The peak of his training in Iga was to learn strategies for infiltrating castles and fortresses. He and other trainees were tasked with entering the walls of fortified villages or temples undetected, a task that involved accurate climbing and lurking techniques. Hanzo often had to wait for hours in a stationary position, biding his time and waiting for the right moment to move forward, building up a level of patience that tested the limits of human endurance. Hattori Hanzo was raised under the strong influence of his father, Hattori Yasunaga. a high-ranking samurai and well-respected leader of the Iga region. Yasunaga was a warrior who, besides mastering the art of the sword and military tactics, had a profound understanding of ninja stealth and espionage techniques, skills he himself had inherited from past generations of Hattori. As an authority and inspirational figure, Yasunaga was far more than a father. He was the stern, silent master, whose words were hardly ever spoken in vain. He represented for Hanzo the ideal model of a warrior who combined courage, skill, and unflinching loyalty. Early on, Yasunaga instilled in Hanzo the values that guided the life of a true samurai and shinobi: loyalty and discipline. He taught his son that success in martial arts came not only from physical strength, but from controlling one's own spirit and turning the mind into a weapon as sharpened as a blade. Yasunaga's lessons extended beyond physical combat. He instructed Hanzo to keep an eye on the world around him, to anticipate the enemy's movements, and to develop an unflappable presence, like the peaceful water of a river that adapts to its course and reflects its surroundings without losing its essence. Yasunaga also equipped Hanzo for the darker elements of ninja service, where morality was at times sacrificed for survival and duty. He taught that, to protect those to whom one had sworn loyalty, a warrior had to be prepared to adopt any role, even if it meant entering the darkest side of their soul and returning with victory in their hands. Hanzo learned from his father that the art of war was not just about victory, but resilience, patience, and the ability to see beyond appearances. Yasunaga's teachings planted in Hanzo an intense sense of purpose. He was raised to honor his father and the Hattori name, bearing with him the pride of being heir to a line of skilled and loyal warriors. Hanzo, under Yasunaga's tutelage, not only shaped himself as a warrior, but as a symbol of what the Hattori stood for: shadow warriors who served with honor, wisdom, and the determination to do their duty to the end, whatever the cost. His first encounter with war came on small reconnaissance missions alongside seasoned warriors, where he learned and applied every lesson about patience, observation, and stealth. These first encounters taught him the importance of reading the enemy's movements, predicting their steps, and acting at the right moment, a lesson he would carry with him for life. With time, Hanzo came to be seen as a promising young man, whose skill and presence set him apart and who would shortly become a legend. Far from being an ordinary childhood, this period of his life molded what would later be known as Oni Hanzo, the ghostly and fearless warrior.